Good evening. I'd like to call to order the City Council meeting for Twinsburg for May 28th. The time is 7:39. Our first meeting ran over a little bit, and we are at the Twinsburg Government Center. Shannon, would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Fury?
Here.
Mr. Post?
Here.
Mr. Barr?
Here.
Mrs. Labby? Here. Mr. Bellin?
Here.
Mrs. Walker?
Present.
Mr. Bonacci?
Here.
All right. Thank you. Now let's stand for the invocation of pledge led by Mayor Scafidi.
Father, we seek your guidance for the business that is before us. In planning for the future of the city of Twinsburg, give us vision. Guide us to make decisions that are not self-serving, but for the betterment of our community, so we can continue to move in a positive direction. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mayor. Next on the agenda is the approval of minutes for the regular council meeting from May 14th.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes as submitted.
All right, Mr. Post has a motion on the floor. Are there any questions regarding the minutes?
I'll second.
Thank you. Shannon likes that second, too, because she's smiling that I didn't ask for it before I started talking about this. So she's on me, man. All right, so we don't have any more questions about the minutes. Shannon, would you call the roll to approve the minutes?
Mr. Post?
Yes.
Mr. Bellin?
Yes.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Bonacci?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
Mrs. Labby? Yes. Mr. Fury?
Yes, so the minutes for the May 14th meeting passed 7-0. Do we have any awards presentations this evening?
There are none.
Thank you, Mayor. Audience participation. Shannon, do we have anybody on the list?
We do. First is Colleen Rubin, but I believe she may have left.
She left.
So we will move to the next person, Chuck Walder.
All right. Good evening, sir. If you could just give us your name and your address?
Sure. My name is Chuck Walder. I have property in Twinsburg, 9241 Ravenna Road, several commercial buildings. Good evening, Mr. Mayor and members of council. I want to thank you for this opportunity to come and speak with you about something that I think is very important in the community. As I said, my name is Chuck Walder, and I just happen to be the elected county auditor in Geauga County. Okay. I'm not a resident of Twinsburg. However, with my wife, I have owned and operated businesses in Twinsburg for over 30 years. We previously owned a technology business in Twinsburg for 20 years, employing over 30 salaried positions. We currently own and operate several commercial real estate enterprises in Twinsburg and also have a collector car restoration business on Ravenna Road. We have known Police Chief Tom Mason for nearly 30 years. Chief Mason is a tremendous asset to Twinsburg and to the community. Chief Mason is an excellent ambassador for the city. And we have always found Chief Mason to be attentive, truthful, professional, hardworking, and courteous. Chief Mason is an incredible asset to this city, and he reflects well on you as public officials. I strongly encourage you to continue to support Chief Mason and in his ongoing work in improving the Twinsburg Police Department, and respectfully ask you to provide him your public support. Often in politics, it is easier to remain silent when attacks are launched at individuals when they make efforts to do the right thing. Your continued support of Chief Mason will make his difficult job a bit easier to palate and will sustain his energy in pursuing what he believes is the right course to take. I ask you as fellow public officials, and as a business and property owner in the city, and I respectfully and a respectful admirer of Chief Mason and his work to perform these tasks. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you for your comments, sir.
That's all we have this evening.
All right, well, thank you. Okay, next we're going to council communications and committee reports. We'll start down with Mr. Bellin.
Good evening, everyone. I hope you enjoyed your long Memorial Day weekend.
The Finance Committee met earlier this evening prior to caucus. We had discussions about the tax budget as well as purchasing policies. I would like to thank once again Ms. Conway for providing this data to us in a digestible manner that somebody that does not have your training and background can understand. I sincerely
As
appreciate it.
easily as I tried to.
I appreciate it. Thank you. The next meeting of the Finance Committee will be on Tuesday, June 25th, 6:30 PM here in council chambers. The next Public Works meeting will be on Tuesday, June 11th at 6 PM here in chambers. The next meeting of the Safety Committee will be on Tuesday, July 9th, 6 PM here in chambers. Work on the zoning code update continues. On May 21st, there was a joint meeting of the Planning Commission and City Council. At the meeting, which was open to the public, our consultant gave a presentation of the draft code and answered numerous questions from the Planning Commission and Council. The meeting was recorded and is available on YouTube or on togethertwinsburg.com. Since we began talking about this project in October of 2022, I have been adamant that the only way that this would work is if we went out of our way to ensure that the residents' voices were heard and included in the process. Since the inception of the project, there have been nearly 90 opportunities for public participation. This includes focus groups, public open houses, working group meetings, community surveys, project updates on Together Twinsburg, and social media posts. I was thrilled to see that when the consultant reviewed the code, there were quite a few items that were included as specific items that were requested from residents. Your voices are being heard, your ideas are being included. This is our code, and I'm thrilled with the progress that we've made. I would like to publicly thank Ms. Ziegler, Ms. Muter, and our consultant ZoneCo for ensuring that the residents have had so many opportunities to get involved. We do have a couple important dates coming up. All meetings will be here at council chambers. May 28th, tonight, will be the first reading of the code. June 11th, it will be the second reading as well as a public hearing. June 25th will be the third and final reading, and November 5th is Election Day. For more information, please visit togethertwinsburg.com. Nothing further this evening, sir. Thank you.
Good report, Mr. Bellin.
Thank you.
Mrs. Labby?
Thank you. Good evening. None of my committees met in the past 2 weeks. I just wanted to remind everyone, though, of from the Shred Day proposed by Environmental Commission, June 8th, and it is from 9 to 12 at Public Works, and please no pre-shredded materials. The next meeting of Environmental is September 3rd at 7 o'clock. The next Twins Days meeting is Wednesday, June 5th at 7 o'clock in the Twins Days office. Today I attended the finance meeting and got the same education. Thank you very much. I'm not a numbers person. I can't do that stuff in my head. And I also attended the joint planning council meeting. And Rebecca, thank you. You and Lynn, you have done extensive work, extensive research, and it's just a credit to the city for having people like you that listen, and I think it's phenomenal. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Mrs. Labby? Mr. Post?
Thank you. I did attend the finance meeting tonight. Mr. Bellin spoke very eloquently about that. I was unable to attend the ARB meeting a couple weeks ago, and Mrs. Walker was so kind to show up in my absence, and so she will report on that meeting for me. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mrs. Walker?
Good evening, everyone. Yes, it was an honor to go to the ARB meetings. I've been to many of them, and I just get excited when I go to the meetings, so thank you so much. Anytime
for you,
you're absent,
Did it for you.
let me know. Okay. I did attend the meeting, and there's case number 2405-30 on Abrams Drive, and they were talking about taking away the vacancy signs. I guess that vacancy sign has been there since forever. So I just happened to drive by there a couple times, and guess what? The vacancy sign is still there. So guess where I'm going tomorrow? Right there, to make sure. You can't have it. You can't. You got to change it. So just to let you know that. Also, case number 2 on Ravenna Road. There's a Twinsburg Country Inn signage, And so we're waiting for them to give us a color on their door. So once we get that, then if you want me to, I can give you the information, David, at our next council meeting, and this way you can report, if that's okay with you.
I mean, if you are doing the legwork and all that, and you want to report on it, that's totally fine with me, if you'd like to report on it.
Okay, but I'll report to you just
Yeah.
in case, okay?
Okay, no,
All
that's-
right,
that's
okay,
great.
all
Thank
right,
you.
Thank you. That's all I have.
Thank you. Mr. Bonacci?
Thank you, Mr. President. Since our last meeting, none of the assigned committees or boards have met, but I did attend tonight's Finance Committee meeting. It was informative, so thank you for describing numbers in words. It works for me.
Me too.
I also met with our planning and economic development managers as part of my orientation to get to know things a little bit better and to become more versed in our zoning updates. So thank you for that meeting. I attended the joint planning meeting. It was informative, well-planned, and I think we have new items that are going to be added to that as a result of that meeting. Rebecca and Lynn did a great job, as did our consultant and partner. So the next Board is Building, Zoning, and Appeals meeting is tomorrow. There's a couple of variance requests on that agenda, one at 9438 Ravenna Road and one at 1693 West Idlewood. One's in addition to a house, the other one is a garage, attached garage. This weekend, I attended the Memorial Day Parade and program on the square. Congratulations to VFW 4929 for putting on a top-notch event and reminding us all of the sacrifices that the men and women who served our nation have made. That concludes my report.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Barr?
Good evening. My life has been a little hectic the past few weeks, and I do regret that I was not able to attend the Joint Planning Council work session. I've worked with Lynn Muter a long time, both when she was the rep for Environmental Commission and as a member of council in her current role, and as that has adapted over time. And the work that she and Mrs. Ziegler have done is phenomenal. So I apologize. I had a personal family issue to take care of that evening. I was really disappointed I couldn't attend. I do want to commend you both on the work that you've put in. I said this a year ago when we started. There are going to be naysayers. It doesn't matter what we do. We could do exactly what people want, and it's still not going to be right. Keep fighting the good fight. You guys are terrific. You're doing a wonderful job. Mr. Bellum, thank you for sharing, 90 opportunities you said, I believe. Yeah, that's unprecedented for anything that we've ever undertaken, at least on my tenure in council. So seriously, thank you, and congratulations for trying to make this process as transparent as possible. And Mr. Scafidi, thank you for allowing them the opportunity to do that. I know you've been working on transparency as a theme, a constant, reoccurring theme. And it is appreciated. I don't want to speak for anybody else here, but I appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Farr. Thanks.
I did attend the Finance Committee meeting tonight. Mrs. Conway, you never fail to impress. Thank you so much. Mr. Bellin, appreciate your report on that this evening as the chair. The next Planning Commission meeting is scheduled for Monday, June 3rd, here in Council Chambers at 7 p.m. That concludes my report this evening. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Fury. That's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Barr. I attended also the joint planning and council work session last week, and I think Rebecca and Lynn are wonderful as well.
We're lucky.
Pardon me?
We're lucky to have them.
I agree. I agree. I'm starting to understand TIF. I'm getting it. I'm there. I'm gonna TIF my own house. All right, sorry. Park and Recs will meet on June 26th at 6:30. I attended the Finance Committee meeting, and I want to let the pickleball players know that they will have access to the pickleball courts when we have construction on Glenwood. You can we're not shutting down the pickleball courts. I was asked that multiple times. I would like to thank Joe Jasny and the VFW team from 4929. It was good to see Mike DeSillo out the other day. and appreciate what they do and our flyover, and Mayor did a great job on your speech. You know, Steve Demetrio, our current state representative, who's a West Point graduate and a Bronze Star recipient. I did not know he had received a Bronze Star. People shoot at you to get that award. So he's an impressive individual. I thought he did an outstanding job. I appreciate him. And thank you for your service, all. And with that, Mayor Scafidi.
Thank you, Mr. Fury. Well, most of council gave my report, but so I'm going to be quick. And I did want to bring up that I attended the joint meeting between council and the planning commission with regards to the zoning code. And I really would like to echo everybody's sentiments about Rebecca Ziegler and Lynn Muter, but I have to work with these ladies full-time every day, and I just don't want their heads to get too big. So I'm going to let it go there, okay? But thank you for all that you guys do. We really appreciate you. Thank you very much. The Memorial Day Parade, I attended on Monday as well, and I would like to thank Joe Jasny and the Post 4929 for their continued support of our veterans and everyone in our community, and they do a great job, and Joe really does a great job. I mentioned to him afterwards, I said, nice job, we'll see you next year. He says, well, I hope so. I says, well, I hope so too. I hope that, you're here for that. The only thing that I have new is on the 22nd, Wilcox, every year they do a bike night, and they do it at the stadium. And so Mrs. Wilson from Wilcox School and Mr. Sanders, they're both teachers there. And it's a night where they do this program where they teach the youngsters, these young children, how to ride bikes. And it's amazing. And this is a night that they get to go out on the track, and the parents stay behind the fence, and they just let these kids out there. They just go. And of course, we have paramedics there, and we have all kind of people standing by because there are a few accidents on the field. Nothing major, though. And so they asked me to come by, stop by, and there were bikes donated. Everybody kind of donates a bike. I donate a bike, the police department, fire department, a few bikes. The Rotary, I think, donated a few bikes, right?
Certain.
2 bikes. Okay, so then they draw names, and the kids get to win these bikes, but they just really have a great time out there, and they're riding around that track, and you see the little guys. They're the ones that they like speed. They just want to fly around that track, and it's amazing to watch them, and what a great time that they have. So, and I was happy to be there. I got to say a few words of encouragement to them, tell them with summer coming, be careful. They're going to be out on the sidewalks, watch for pedestrians, watch for cars, so on and so forth. So it's a good night, and I really appreciate being asked to be there. So that was it. That's all I have right now. That's the end of my report.
Okay. Mr. Post?
Yeah, I want to also give a couple shout-outs that I was thinking about as you guys were mentioning these things. Last week at the Joint Planning Commission meeting with council over the Zone Co., someone who really needs kudos is Mark Cohn. Mark Cohn is the chair of the Planning Commission, and I don't know if you've ever been to a Planning Commission meeting, but that man is very, very knowledgeable in everything he does. Just the comments that he had at the meeting were so well received and so on point. And he also volunteers his time to do all of the ARB stuff for the Eathlands Green Homeowners Association. He's just gives so much of his time back to the community, and that is just such, we are blessed to have him. We are very, very blessed to have him, and we would be at a loss without him. That's number one. Number two, I do want to give a shout out to the Rotary. I know we're all talking about the VFW. The Rotary, really spearheaded by Ms. Collins and Mr. Basso years ago, they spearheaded wanting to redo the patio for the veterans. And I don't know if you've seen it, but it was really the Rotary really spearheaded that. They wanted to do that for the veterans. They built this big patio, and I want to thank the Service Department for their help with that, and thank the city for that in setting up this beautiful new patio. So if you've not seen it, you should really go out there and check it out. The veterans are so happy with what the city has done and what the Rotary has done. So just shout out to the Rotary for that. That's all I have. Thank you.
Mayor, did you have department head reports?
There is, Tammy, you have anything tonight?
Yeah, I can go over higher.
Yeah, if you want to go ahead and do that real quick.
Thank you.
And then
Didn't mean to cut, yeah, I
Christine
just,
has a short
he wanted to get, all good.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Just an update on how we're doing with hiring and some exams that are coming up. So right now, some of the positions that we have posted that I'd like to highlight, we are looking for a pre-treatment intern for the wastewater department. It's a summer position. If you know any students who are interested, we don't currently have any applicants, so please get the word out on that one. We still are looking for a full-time lifeguard. We haven't been getting applicants for the full-time position. That is a position that's 40 hours a week with benefits. So looking for a good candidate for that. We have posted a construction manager position for the engineering department. So far, we only have 2 applicants there. So that's another one. Please get the word out. Marketing coordinator, we have made a conditional job offer. They've selected a candidate out of 37 applicants. So that was good. We're looking forward to hopefully getting that return conditional job offer soon. And then we're also looking for a wastewater treatment plant operator. We have 3 applicants, but we've scheduled interviews with them. So there's also Saturday, we gave the fire lieutenant exam. Thank you to Joe Jasny again. He was a test proctor, so he gave up his time on a Saturday to be here to proctor that exam. So very thankful for that. We had 6 test takers. We will, at the next Civil Service Commission meeting, we're looking to request exams for police officer and police sergeants. And then we also have a dispatch exam coming up on July 9th.
Are there any questions?
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, thanks, Tammy.
Tammy?
Thank you.
Tammy, it's amazing how much you're able to do as a one-person HR shop, so, thank you.
Okay.
I just have a couple things that I didn't go over in finance, they're more general. I send everyone monthly with the finance packet, just our income tax collections. I'm not going to go over anything extensively. We're 2% up from 2023, 8% up from 2022. However, our monthly collection for April was about 2% lower than 2023. However, we've rebounded nicely with what we've gotten in May so far. So total through this report, we were at 9.4 million. I believe we're at 11.2 right now. Tomorrow, our annual filing for the Auditor of State is due. If anyone wants to read it, it's 174 pages. It will be filed with our annual comprehensive report that's due at the end of June that we file to the GFOA. And the auditors will be on site next week, so I will not be available to anyone. And that's it.
Well, thank you very much, and you did an outstanding job at the finance meeting today.
Well, thank you.
We good, Mayor?
Yep, that's it. Thank you.
All right. Next on our agenda is legislation. So we're going to start with ordinance 68, 2024.
An ordinance amending Part 11 of the City of Twinsburg zoning and development regulations.
This time, I'd like to make a motion for council to submit the proposed ordinance 68, 2024 to the Planning Commission for approval, disapproval, suggestions, and/or recommendations, and report back to council. May I have a second?
I will second.
Mrs. Labby seconds. Now, we are going to have a public hearing on 6/11 at a time to be certified soon.
6:30.
It's 6:30. Once it has been written, now it shall be done. Any further discussion on the motions to send this to Planning Commission? All right, Shannon, would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Mrs. Labby?
Yes.
Mr. Bellin?
Yes.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Bonacci?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
Mr. Post?
Yes.
Okay. Ordinance 68, 2024 has been sent to the Planning Commission for comments and review. Ordinance 69, 2024.
An ordinance to appropriate property for various property owners for the making of roads open to the public without charge for the Ravenna, Shepherd, Richmond, Broadway intersections improvement project and declaring an emergency.
Okay. This time, I'd like to make a motion to suspend the rules and place ordinance 69, 2024 on its third and final reading. Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Bonacci seconds. The reason for the suspension of the three reading rules is so we can get the project going as soon as possible. And are there any other discussions on this? Okay, Shannon, would you call the roll on the suspension?
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Bonacci?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
Mr. Bellin?
Yes.
Mrs. Labby?
Yes.
Mr. Post?
Yes.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Okay, so the suspension of the three reading rule passes 7-0. Now I'd like to make a motion to adopt ordinance 69, 2024 as an emergency. May I have a second?
Second.
Mrs. Walker seconds this time. What a duel we have going on the right of me. Are there any further discussion? Shannon, would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
Mr. Bonacci?
Yes.
Mr. Bellin?
Yes.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Post?
Yes.
Mrs. Labby?
Yes.
All right, ordinance 69, 2024 passes as an emergency 7-0. Ordinance 70, 2024.
An ordinance adopting the tax budget of the city of Twinsburg, Ohio for the fiscal year beginning January 1st, 2025, and submitting the same to the county auditor.
And declaring emergency. And we're
declaring-
not going to do that this evening because we're going to read this 3 times, pass it in the second week of July as an emergency so we can have it hit the county tax office and be active. So that's why there's an emergency there, but we're not going to do that for a month or so. Ordinance 71, 2024.
An ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into and execute a renewal agreement on behalf of the city of Twinsburg through Love Insurance Agency for the purpose of liability and property insurance through the Ohio Plan and declaring an emergency.
Okay, at this time, I'd like to make a motion to suspend the rules and place ordinance 71, 2024 in its third and final reading and declare it emergency. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, Mr. Post seconds. The reason for the suspension of the three reading rule is the current plan will expire soon and we need to get insurance for the city. Is there any further discussion? Shannon, would you call the roll, please, on the three reading rule?
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Mr. Post?
Yes.
Mr. Bellin?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
Mrs. Labby?
Yes.
Mr. Bonacci?
Yes.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Okay, suspension of the three reading rule passes 7-0. I'd like to make a motion to adopt ordinance 71, 2024 as an emergency. Is there a second?
Second.
Mrs. Walker seconds. Is there any further discussion? Shannon, would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
Mr. Post?
Yes.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Bonacci?
Yes.
Mrs. Labby?
Yes.
Mr. Bellin?
Yes.
Okay, ordinance 71, 2024 passes as an emergency, 7-0. Ordinance 72, 2024.
An ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into and execute an agreement on behalf of the city through Travelers Insurance Agency for the purpose of cyber and crime insurance coverage and declaring an emergency.
Okay, this time I'd like to make a motion to extend the rules in place, ordinance 72, 2024 on its third and final reading and declare it an emergency. Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Bellin seconds. The reason for the suspension of the three reading rule is the current plan expires soon and we want to get better cyber security insurance. Shannon, would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Mr. Bellin?
Yes.
Mrs. Labby?
Yes.
Mr. Bonacci?
Yes.
Mr. Post?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Okay, the three reading rule suspension passes 7-0. At this time, I'd like to make a motion to place ordinance 72, 2024 on, and make a motion to adopt it as an emergency. May I have a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Bellin seconds. Is there any further discussion?
Yeah, I just want to say how happy I am to see that we're doing this in the world that we live in the digital world in 2024. This type of insurance is crucial, and I'm very glad that we're doing it.
All right. I agree. Shannon, would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Mr. Bellin?
Yes.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
Mr. Bonacci?
Yes.
Mrs. Labby?
Yes.
Mr. Post?
Yes.
Okay. Ordinance 72, 2024 passes as an emergency, 7-0. Ordinance 73, 2024.
An ordinance authorizing the purchase of 7 police SUVs from Ganley Chevrolet of Aurora and financed through Huntington National Bank for the use by the police department and declaring an emergency.
Okay. This time, I'd like to make a motion to suspend the rules and place Ordinance 73, 2024 on its third and final reading, declaring it an emergency. Did I say that wrong? May I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Bellin seconds. The reason for the suspension of the 3 reading rule is so that we can get 7 new police cars in a timely manner. And is there any other discussion? Shannon, would you call the roll on the 3 reading rule?
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Mr. Bellin?
Yes.
Mrs. Labby?
Yes.
Mr. Bonacci?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
Mr. Post?
Yes.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Okay, the suspension of the 3 reading rule passes 7-0. At this time, I'd like to make a motion to adopt Ordinance 73, 2024 as an emergency. May I have a second?
Second.
Mrs. Walker seconds. Any further discussion on buying police cars? Shannon, would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Walker?
Yes.
Mr. Post?
Yes.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Bellin?
Yes.
Mrs. Labby?
Yes.
Mr. Bonacci?
Yes.
Okay. Ordinance 73, 2024 passes as an emergency, 7-0. Ordinance 74, 2024.
An ordinance authorizing the purchase of materials and labor for the upfitting of 7 police SUVs from Hall Public Service Upfitters and financed through Huntington National Bank for use by the police department and declaring an emergency.
Okay. This time, I'd like to make a motion to place Ordinance 74, 2024 on its third and final reading and declare it an emergency. May I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Barr, seconds. The reason for the suspension of the 3 reading rule is we have the current pricing before any potential increases, and this is the service that would fit the cars that we bought in the last ordinance. Are there any other comments regarding the emergency? Shannon, would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Post?
Yes.
Mrs. Labby?
Yes.
Mr. Bellin?
Yes.
Mr. Bonacci?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
Okay. Suspension of the 3 reading rule passes 7-0. At this time, I'd like to make a motion to adopt Ordinance 74, 2024 as an emergency. Is there a second?
I will second.
Mrs. Labby seconds. Is there any further discussion? Shannon, would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Mrs. Labby?
Yes.
Mr. Bellin?
Yes.
Mr. Bonacci?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
Mr. Post?
Yes.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
All right, thank you. Ordinance 74, 2024 passes 7-0 as an emergency. And this concludes our legislation for this evening. Next on our agenda is unfinished business, new business, and miscellaneous. We're going to go the way that Shannon wants me to go. So, Mr. Bonacci.
Thank you. I'd like to recognize and thank whoever puts together those military banners that are around the square area. I'm certain that every veteran that's highlighted on one of those banners has an amazing or maybe an interesting story. So I'd like to talk about Joseph Aschenbenner. He's on one of the banners. Joe was a USMC veteran, served in Korea during the Korean War. He also served at Camp Lejeune. If you watch evening TV, you might see Camp Lejeune contaminants. Joe was impacted by that. That exposure of those contaminants led to cancer, illness, and ultimately his death. Thanks for recognizing him with a banner. I encourage everyone that's connected with a veteran that's on one of those banners to tell their story so our community has a better understanding of what men and women who serve in the military do and what they're exposed to. I have a friend of mine that's a veteran, and he said it's impossible to expect anyone to cross a river and not come out wet. And military service changes everyone. That's a lieutenant commander from the United States Navy that shared that.
Well, let me tell you, if you're the Marines, you always get wet.
So tell that, share those stories. Don't let them dissipate. I also like to congratulate our community's high school graduates, whether they're graduates of Twinsburg City Schools or another school. Celebrate this accomplishment. It's amazing, whether it's the beginning of a new set of education or entering the military or a vocation. Celebrate today's accomplishment and build upon it. Thank you. That concludes my report.
Thank you, sir. Mrs. Walker, you're next.
Okay. I just want to commend whoever put the military on the street, their pictures on Ravenna Road. And there was this gentleman, he lived in the township. His name was Mr. Curry, but they nicknamed him Mr. Twinsburg. A couple years ago, maybe 2, 3, 4 years ago, Ted was the mayor, and we gave him a proclamation, and it was regarding him being named Mr. Twinsburg, because he did everything. Even though he lived in the township, he knew more about the city of Twinsburg and the school system than he did in the township. So I just want to say, those banners that you have, it just makes tears come in my eyes when I drive down Ravenna Road and I see all of those pictures that they fought for us and died for us, and it's amazing. So all I can say is, Mayor, keep up the good work and continue with the signs and add whatever you want to add, because we need that. We need to reflect back on what it used to be and how the city of Twinsburg was. And that's a reminder that it took everyone to make the city of Twinsburg.
Thank you, Daisy. I'll pass that along.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yes, ma'am. Mr. Barr?
Nothing, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Post?
Nothing, thank you.
Mrs. Labby?
Nothing for me, thank you.
Mr. Bellin?
Congratulations to the graduates. Thank you.
Okay. I'm next. She doesn't highlight mine. She thinks I know who I am. On a serious note, there was a gentleman that spoke earlier this night to commend our police chief. And the meeting before that, we had a resident that had issues with our police department. And I'm going to say the same thing I said 2 weeks ago, is that about a year and a half ago, I was given an 8-page anonymous letter with salacious accusations made at the highest levels of our police department. And I met with our HR manager at the time and asked her what she had already received a copy. And she spent a year and a half doing a report, and I'm telling you, it's a really well-detailed, in-depth report regarding the 8 pages of salacious, anonymous, innuendo, accusations, several of which is focused recently. And as I read her response, none of those actions or accusations had any finding at all. I support Tom Mason and Brian Donato as the leaders of our police department. We're going through some changes, but they're changes for the better. And some of the challenges that we have with the change in personnel are sometimes people just make bad decisions. And I tell my kid all the time, make good decisions, because I should be making better decisions too. At the end of the day, I have the utmost confidence in our police as well as our fire department and the administration that's done a ton of work. We had somebody else ask us about freedom of information. We're basically being asked to produce books or find books, print them, make sure that we're giving you the accurate information and get it out. I saw a batch released today because I'm copying on a couple of them, not all of them, but hundreds of them being processed in the last 45 days. The challenges in the investigation has been going on for a year. So it's just a reaction, in my opinion. But I have full confidence in the mayor, the administration, and the heads of our safety forces. And I appreciate the job they do. And that's all I have this evening. Mayor Scafidi.
Thank you, Mr. Fury. I truly have nothing more tonight. Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Vanzana. Sorry, man. I'm tired. It was an accident. It was an accident.
No. Thank you, Mr. Fury. I have nothing more to add.
Okay. All right. Mrs. Conway.
Nothing tonight, thank you.
Shannon.
I actually do. Everybody said it already, but I just really want to thank the VFW. They prepare for that parade for like the whole month of May. They have extra meetings, and they think about all the small details that maybe the rest of us don't pick up on, but they put a lot of thought into not the parade, but the ceremony. So just want to thank them. A couple people said about the veteran banners. That's actually our service department that actually makes all those. There's an application process that goes through the VFW to get vetted for, make sure that you were a veteran and served. So they are taking those year round. There are cutoff dates, so if anybody has any veterans that are still alive, you'll want to submit those banner requests by September to make sure that they're up by November for those. And then congratulations to the class of 2024, all the seniors tonight. So that's it.
Thank you, Shannon. All right, we don't have to excuse any, not going to excuse any absent members. So if there's nothing else, at this time, I'd like to, we did that before.
Executive session.
Happy anniversary,
Oh, thank you.
Mrs. Labby.
You did do that before.
Happy anniversary. It's-
we want you to
It's
hear
Mike
us
and
this
Karen
time.
Labby's 30th anniversary, and her best friend wants to make sure that
That's
we
right.
all are celebrating it. So
Thank you.
we'll celebrate later tonight. Congratulations. All right. We
Where's
good?
the cake?
Okay, yeah, thank you. All right. At this time, I'd like to make a motion to enter into an executive session pursuant to Ohio Revised Code Section 121.22 to consider the employment and discipline of public employees. Shannon, would you call the roll, please?
You have a second first?
I'm sorry.
I'll second.
Mr. Post seconds.
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Mr. Post?
Yes.
Mr. Bellin?
Yes.
Mr. Barr? Yes. Mrs. Labby?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
Mr. Bonacci?
Yes.
All right. The motion passes 7-0, and we will go to executive session. No other action will be taken this evening. When we come out of executive session, I will report briefly and close the meeting.